We go back to our Abuja correspondent Paul Wanchukwu for an update on the Nyanya blast. Paul, what's the update now?
Well, the latest update we have, according to the National Emergency Management Agency, about 10 people have been reported dead, and another 13 were injured. They have been taken to Asokoro General Hospital and Nyanya General Hospital.
Please don't answer that question, I beg you. Text you. I'm going to pause.
Well, many thanks, Paul. We hope to give you an update as we go on that particular incident. Time for us to go to our sports news studios where Charles Iruka is going to give us an update on sports news.
Welcome to Sports News. Super Eagles' first-choice goalkeeper Vincent Enyama has been nominated for the Best Goalkeeper Award in the French League, scheduled for May the 11th in Paris. Enyama, who plays for Lille Metropole, will compete for the award with Salvatore Sirigu of PSG, Steve Mandanda of Marseille and Stéphane Ruffier of Saint-Etienne. The Nigerian is considered a favorite to win the award, having failed to concede a goal in 1,062 minutes of action this season. The National Union of Professional Footballers are monitoring his fine form for Lille after naming him as the best player in League One for the month of October and November. And in the greater competitions in Europe, Benfica will face Sevilla in the final of the 2014 UEFA Europa League in Turin on May the 14th. Benfica held Italian giants Juventus to a nail-biting barren draw in the second leg to advance on a 2-1 goal aggregate. In the other semi-final, Cameroonian international Stéphane Mbia scored in injury time as Sevilla slipped to a 3-1 defeat at the hands of Valencia. But Sevilla qualified on away goals rule despite the match ending on a 3-3 goal aggregate. Meanwhile, Chelsea coach Rui Faria has been given a 6-match stadium ban for his behavior during the recent defeat to Sunderland. Jose Mourinho's assistant has also been warned over his future conduct and fined £30,000 after admitting 2 Football Association charges and requesting a hearing. Faria was charged with 2 counts of improper conduct after he attempted to confront referee Mike Dean towards the end of a 2-1 defeat 2 weeks ago. Faria had to be dragged away by Mourinho and was accused of 2 rule breaches, failing to leave the technical area when asked and insulting the 4th official. Mourinho was also charged for his post-match comments about referee Dean, whose decision to award Sunderland an 83rd minute penalty prompted Faria's reaction. That's it on Sports News. Sulaiman will be back shortly with the rest of the news at 10.
Well, Nigeria has completed her tenure of the leadership of the United Nations Security Council, which, with successful passage of the Security Sector Reform Resolution 2151, among 37 other resolutions passed. With this passage, Nigeria now stands a good chance of joining the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council.
As Nigeria ends a tenure of peddling the affairs of world peace and security, a mandate in which Professor Joy Ogu completes as the President of the United Nations Security Council. Perhaps time to get an account of stewardship.
The holding of timely parliamentary elections in Iraq on the 30th of April.
As she makes a glorious exit with an emotionally laden speech that may not be forgotten in a long time to come.
It is time for member states to put aside narrow national interests and address the higher interests. The higher interest is the survival of the human race.
With a total sum of 37 resolutions successfully passed during Professor Joy Ogu's tenure in leading the United Nations Security Council, at this point, you will be proud to be a Nigerian
It's a very successful presidency. You have the most experienced permanent representative, because Mrs. Ogbu, it's very rare. I think it's the second time.
It's always important that we have very strong African representation on the council, and when we have an African presidency, it's important that a country like Nigeria, which has got profound experience in what the council does, because it's the 6th largest contributor to peacekeeping.
Perhaps this is one time and another lifeline for world leaders to choose between their narrow national interest and the survival of human race. If you ask me, this is something to take home at both the national and sub-regional level. And this is the question of morality in international politics. From the United Nations headquarters, New York, Benga Ashiru, reporting for Channels Television News.
Well, still on the foreign scene, it's May Day, and hundreds of pro-Russian militants marked it by seizing the regional prosecutor's office in Donetsk, eastern Ukraine, and there are reports of injuries. Here is Cynthia Are with more.
Well, that was indeed how May Day was marked in Ukraine. Now, what happened was that the attackers hurled Molotov cocktails and rocks at police, who responded with tear gas and stun grenades. Ukraine puts the blame on Russia for organizing the seizures of a number of offices in the east, and Moscow denies that claim. Also today, the Malaysia Airlines has asked relatives of passengers on board the flight MH370 to leave the hotel accommodation it's providing and return to their homes. It is closing the family assistance centers set up after the plane vanished on the 8th of March with 239 people on board. And the European Union troops have taken control of the security at the Central African Republic's main airport. This is their first major operation in the CAR since about 150 troops were deployed in recent weeks to Bangui amid warnings of a genocide. Finally, Sinn Féin leader Gary Adams continues to be questioned by Northern Ireland police in connection with the 1972 murder of Jean McConville. Mr. Adams had spent the night in custody after going to the Antrim police station where he was arrested. Speaking before his detention on Wednesday evening, Mr. Adams said he was innocent of any part in the murder. And those are the top stories on the foreign scene.
Well, on the main news again, another bomb explosion has occurred in the Nyanya area of the federal capital, very close to the scene of the previous blast on April the 14th. Although the exact casualty figure is yet to be determined, our correspondent Paul Wanchuk reports that emergency services have confirmed 10 people dead, while several of the injured have been taken to hospitals. The Nyanya blast has also dampened today's Workers' Day in Nigeria. The Nigerian Labour Congress leaders used the occasion of the celebration to condemn terror attacks in the country. Well, you can actually get more update on our website on the Nyanya blast as well as other stories on ChannelsTV.com. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sulaiman Alede.